Welcome into the Chasing Trails podcast, brought to you by St. John Trail Running and powered by Resilience Through Fitness. Join two middle-aged dads as they sit down and talk trail running, life, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff LeBlanc and Brandon Thompson. Welcome in, everyone. It's another episode of the Chasing Trails podcast. You've got Jeff and Brandon here. Thanks so much for taking the time to check us out on YouTube, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. If you love what you're listening to, why don't you just hit the follow or like or subscribe and let us know, and so that we can help keep the word out there that we have this podcast, which, Jeff, we're starting to get some traction according to some of these wild websites that we don't really know if they're real or not, but
if it's legit or not. Yeah.
If it's legit or not. But we have cracked the top 40 in podcast, trail running podcast. I'm trying to remember the name of the page that it's on, but it's basically
or something like
what
that.
was it called? FeedSpot?
FeedSpot?
Yeah. And I think we're number 39,
31?
maybe.
31?
Is it 31?
I thought it was 31.
Yeah, you're right. We're 31.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And so I think it's like, when we were trying to figure out if this is something real or not, I had to do some research. And apparently FeedSpot is a page where you can go and find all of your websites around a certain topic in one spot, or all of your podcasts in one spot. And so we're number 31 out of 60 in trail running podcasts. So it's based on, is it based on coolness? Is that what the criteria is? Or is it based on listeners?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I asked ChatGPT, and it told me that it was a legitimate website that wasn't going to rip me off. Yes. I was like, okay, well, that's good to know. But then it didn't have a lot to say about how they ranked things. So you know what? It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if we're in the 30th of top 100 or top 60, like, that's middle of the pack, buddy. That's where, it's good.
We're taking the dub on that one. It's like, we'll never get a race result like that. Like, that's like the best. That's the best we'll ever get. Like, it's the mid 30s. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. So that's like the top third. Like, we're in the top third. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. So we got like a cool little badge that I don't know where to put that. Like, we don't have a website or anything, but
let's get it tattooed on our body.
Right? Okay.
Tattoo. The feed spot.
That's right. like where you put the badge. Like, we'll just put it right here. Like, you wear it. Like, anyway, that feed spot trophy. So we're celebrating that. So we'll take the win. And that's been kind of fun. So, Jeff, how are you making out, man? Have you you got to stop sending all those gnarly foot pics. Like, it's starting to get like gross.
Well, I haven't been
are they feeling any better?
Yeah, I haven't been sharing them on our Instagram page, so I got to share them with someone. I don't know that everyone wants to see my gnarly feet, but come to think of it, I should send a few to Adam. I haven't sent him any since they first for the first outcome of them. But I mean, they're better. They don't hurt anymore. It's been a slow return to running. I kind of have that itch where I'd like to get out, but I've also how quickly you fall into like old habits of staying up too late and just being lazy, right? So it's a slow return, which I think is good. I did some squats the other day, and I was like, man, my legs are dead. Like, I couldn't, I don't know, back in February, I was doing, single squats of, 325, 350, and I had 135 on the bar, and I was like, not struggling, but I was like, I noticed it. I was like, this is some serious reduction of strength here.
That's right. This is supposed to be my warm up, and this might just be it.
Yeah. That's right. It was supposed to be my warm up, but it was just all it was that day. Right. So, my legs are starting to come back. I went for a run on Monday with my two eldest daughters, which actually I mentioned later on the podcast as you're listening. But I was just a good for the soul run. It just felt good to be out with my kids in the morning. It was a beautiful morning. It was like 7 or 8 degrees, nice and cool. And it was just a wonderful run. So, that feeling of like enjoying getting out and running is somewhat back, and so this is my second week of kind of rest, slowly getting back into it, and I got some treadmill running in. So yeah, so we're starting to get into more serious training. I got a training plan printed off, ready to go for the weekend. I'll probably get a pretty long run in this weekend, or try to, and then start into next week. And it always helps when you get some new fancy running shoes. Got new Ultras.
All right.
I don't know if anyone can see those, but the Wild Experience Wild 2s.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah. So I'm excited to give them a test. And I was wearing them around the house today, and my pinky toe wasn't folded in underneath the rest of my foot, I noticed. So that'll probably help a lot with this larger toe box. And I got a lot of comments about my toes when I did that post about are my toes normal. Overwhelmingly voted yes, they are. But there were a few people that were concerned and offered recommendation on maybe a different pair of shoes would be warranted. Mostly people recommended Ultras. So anyway, I never bought Ultras because they always had a 0 millimeter drop, and I'd always read that you can't just go from 6 or 8 down to 0 and not probably cause problems. So anyway, I'm at 6. I'm in 6 millimeter drop shoes now, and so 6 to 4 is probably not that bad, or shouldn't be that bad. So
yeah,
so I'm gonna give them a try and see how they fit. They feel comfortable, so
yeah. Yeah, they look good, and I've heard lots of those who like Ultras like them a lot, and it seems to be great for people with wide feet. So hopefully your toes will be spared over the next coming months.
It would be good for my my wife's relationship with trail running, for my toes not to be in such poor shape after I do my next long run. Yeah, she's concerned. She was concerned for my feet. She still is, but anyway, she's not telling me to not. She's just telling me to spend more money on things that help my feet. So I guess
done.
There's worse things. There's worse things that can happen, I guess. Right. So
yeah, I mean, you're not at the point where you have to surgically remove your toenails because they keep falling off, right? So you're like, you've got all sorts of space left for your toes. They'll grow back.
And those toenails, they're on there still solid. Like, they're not even loose. They're just black. So I don't know what they're doing right now. They're still connected. They're not loose. They don't even feel like they're going to fall off right now. So maybe they're not going to fall off. Maybe they just maybe it's just dead underneath them. I don't know.
So I think that's wishful thinking, but I think that's probably, if that's what you want to believe, that's okay. I think you should just paint the rest of them black and just make like a statement. Like, you could just have like black toenails and be one of those guys. Is that an option?
Yeah. No, it's not.
All right.
I'm not painting nails. Not an option. No, sorry.
All right,
I don't know that I could pull the goth look off, dark eyes and dark black fingernails and grow my hair out. Man, I shave my head like once every 3 weeks now because I hate the feeling of having long hair on my head now that I got used to having none. So I don't know that I could do it.
So someone shared a picture of us when we were maybe in our teens. Oof. Like, I think we were probably like 17, 18. Probably. Probably not even 18.
Not even.
Probably like 17.
So. Yeah.
16 or 17. And you had lots of hair then. Like, it was it was a wild time. And
well, remember when we first met, I had it down to my chin, like, shaved up the back, the Kurt Cobain style, with the big, put my hat on backwards and have the big flow coming out the back. Man.
That's a huge deal now. Like, you were a trendsetter back then because it's all about like the little wispies coming out of your underneath your hat now.
Right.
I think you also had the chin strap. Cool. Did you have the chin strap beard too? So that was definitely a thing when we were kids.
Right.
So.
And the Fred Durst Pro Fit hat, buddy.
Backwards. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
we thought we were cool.
Up there. We'll throw this picture up on YouTube.
No, we won't. Put that on YouTube. You keep that right where it is, buddy.
It'll be great.
Good Lord.
Anyway, so here's what's been going on with me. Just got back from physio today, actually, and shout out to Mackenzie. She's been fantastic at Rehab 1 in Quispamsis, so just really appreciate her. But starting to feel a little bit better. Not so much sharp pain, but now it just feels like it's tired all the time. So I don't know. You know how if you do like calf raises, like after you get to like 30, you get that burning fatigue kind of feel. Well, it feels like that at like the first calf raise. And so it's just, she said that's like a pretty normal progression for injuries, and it just starts to not hurt as much. It just feels weak. And so that's kind of where I'm at. That didn't stop me from going trail running, though. I did go with Catherine to our intro group, which was probably not the greatest idea because we went to Black Beach and Troy's Trail, which is a wonderful trail system out here in the Laurenville area. And so, but it was so much climbing. Like it was just a lot of climbing. It was a very short distance, but it took us so long though. And I think that's what saved me. It was painfully slow, and we were just able to, we hiked it mostly. And I think that kind of saved me from pushing it too hard. So it was really sore the next day, and I regretted it, but I was glad that we could go with Catherine. So this week it's at Rockwood Park, and so I'm going to be going back to the scene of the crime, and we'll exercise some demons out there while I'm hobbling along. But hopefully we'll see if I can keep it up. But a lot of walking in that one, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway,
and then the East Coast Beast Coast is in 2 weeks, right? So
that's right. So I got to get it together before then, because that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most, doing that with Catherine. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. So enjoying that. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun just trying to go with her, and like you said, those runs with your kids, when it's just like so much fun. It feels like it's a great run. So I totally get that. Today on the show, though, we have a wonderful conversation with a guy named Chester Dana. Chester is involved with organizing a race called the Mastodon Rumbler, and he's gonna explain that and talk about it a little bit. But it's just a really cool way for someone from the trail running community in Moncton to be able to give back, and he'll tell you the story around the origin of the race, and gives you a chance to sign up. There's still a chance to sign up and raise some funds for the Hillsborough area. And so without any more chat, we'll turn it over to our conversation with Chester. All right, everyone, we're thrilled to welcome into the Chasing Trails studios Chester Dana, who's a local trail runner and the founder, creator. You can even call him the doula of the Mastodon Rumbler, the newest and greatest trail race happening in our area. And so, Chester, thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Thanks a lot for the invite. Really appreciate it. So
that's right. You never expected to be called a doula when you came on the show, did you? That was something that came right out of left field.
You didn't
you never know. That's right. You never know what you could get on this show. But anyways, thanks so much for being here. One of the things that we want to just start off the show with is by saying that all three of us, Jeff, Chester, and myself, all have a common connection, and that's with Mattress Mike from Sleep Country. And so we just want to say a big shout out to Mattress Mike. We appreciate you. He's the one. That's right. He's the one who recommended your name to start off with. He said, you got to get this guy on. And so kudos to him. Hat tip to Mattress Mike.
Nice.
Anyway, so Chester, why don't you just start by telling us your running story? That's what we like to do with our first-time guests. Just tell us how you got into trail running. What is it that you love about it? And just what that experience is like for you.
Yeah, I've always been an outdoor getter, like hiking guy. I was always in that hiking, going for long hikes, camping. I loved it. And then in 2017, a New Year's Eve party, there was myself, Lori Doothright, who you guys might know through Crandall, and a friend of mine, Luke. We were chatting, and the idea of doing a marathon came up in conversation. And they said, do you think we could do legs for literacy? If we started training now, do you think we could do legs for literacy at the end of the year? And I was like, I could probably do it. I think I might be able to. And then that idea went away, and we all forgot about it the next morning. And then I watched that, they had a documentary on Netflix, the Barkley Marathon.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
I was so thrilled by the idea of doing these like adventures out in the woods. Everything about it was like, oh, this really spices me up. Like I wanted, and so I just remember the February came and I got off the couch one day and I was stiff. And I'm like, I'm still pretty young here. I shouldn't be this stiff. I'm going to actually try to run that marathon. And I started on the treadmill. I got the treadmill out. We had one. We never used it. And I just started the first day. I did a few push-ups, a few sit-ups, and I walked on the treadmill for 5 minutes. And I said, I'm going to do this again tomorrow, but I'm going to walk 10 minutes. I'm going to do more push-ups. And so I worked my way up until finally the sun was out and the roads were clear enough to run. And I remember going 3 kilometers, 1.5 and back, and I came home with the biggest smile, like I did 3 kilometers, like. And then that rush and that excitement of running just kept, building. And I had like no idea of these watches people wear and like pace. I had my GPS hunting, and I turned that on, put it in my pocket, and it would give me kind of an idea of what I was running. So that year I did a marathon, and I loved it. Like I just worked from zero up to marathon, and I had no idea what a pace was or anything. Like I was literally just doing this on my own. And then, so I did the marathon, and that was kind of like, okay, well, I did that. So, but I wasn't done running, right? So I kept running and kept up the exercise. And then one day I was cruising on Facebook, I believe, and I saw Son of a Gun of a Run, which was the original Keji Mikujic backyard. So,
okay, yeah, cool.
So I was like, clicked on the link, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. And I texted my buddy Luke and his brother Kevin. I say, we should sign up for this. I was like, it's just a one loop. You can do whatever you want. We'll go camping the night before. It's going to be great. And I think I did like 14 loops, and I was like, wow, I'm like beating my records. Like I'm getting these, like, I went way further. I don't remember how far I went that time, but I was like, and I met tons of people involved in the trail running community. Like, I think Mark McColgan was there, Brian Demmons was there, Drew Wallace was there, Head was there, and like I just met these people, and then I found out there was like a trail running group in Moncton. I didn't even know this, and I was like, I made sure to remember the names of the people, and then like messaged them like right away after the race. I was like, where did you guys meet? Like, what's the deal? I want to be a part of this. And then I just like exploded in the trail runs and started signing
awesome.
Everything I could find. And that was my kind of like my intro into running. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And so what races have you done since then? Like, what are some of your distances and races that you've done?
So I've done a lot of races. The biggest one, I have 2 that really stick out. So, the Fundy Circuit, I did it in 2018, and that was a 50. That was my first official ultra, and I remember like that was my big goal that year, and like I had set it as like an impossible goal in my mind. Like, there's no way I'm going to do this, and someone's like, why won't you just set that as your goal and do it? So that year I did that one, and I probably like top 10 of it, I think that, and I was pretty proud. And I had energy back then. I don't know what happened to me, but back then I was like, let's go. So then the next year they had 100K. So it was 2 loops in the Fundy, which there wasn't that many people actually show up to do because, it was a midnight start and stuff like that. But man, so that was great. Like it was like, I was so ready for it mentally, and just I landed in second place.
Nice.
On the race, and it was just like probably like a pretty good highlight peak. And then in 2022, I did the 100-mile, the Capes 100.
Nice.
And I did that in 27 hours, finished 5th place for my first 100 miles, and I was like, that's awesome. So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Wow. those are some gnarly races, and you're the second person who's talked about the Fundy Circuit. And Jeff, like, we got to get the Fundy Circuit race back up and going. I mean, we're like, it sounds like such a great race.
Like,
and
I believe Mark has made like his mark in the trail running like organization. He's put the standard back up to what that was, but it was the end of the year ish for running. You know what I mean? It was September, and it usually had really good weather. People would go down camp, and at the end of it, there was just like a big social gathering in the park. People would camp out. The park was full of trail runners, and the loop of Funny Circuit is so well like broken down for aid stations, and just even if you do it on your own without it being organized, it's like it's so well broken down. Just where your different access points, and like when I do it, sometimes I'll start at Bennett Lake and do the loop that way, or do the loop. But sometimes it's just random places. We'll start different places to like we'll go to Point Wolf. We'll start there, do coastal first, and then work our way around. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just
Very
it was
cool.
really well organized and in the Fundy National Park. So yeah.
man.
We keep talking about doing it sometime, just with friends, because obviously you don't do the race again.
Yeah.
But then we never get to it because we're always so broken by the time we try. So maybe this year, maybe this will be the year. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's like
I wish.
it's
Go
tricky
ahead.
because when you get on like when you get on the circuit of trail races, you basically like have to train for the next race by doing a race. You know what I mean? Like your longer runs. And that's how I did the 100 miles. Like I just planned out my races based on distance I was going to do leading up to it. So I did plan my longer races, my longer runs based on a race. So, so when you get in that circuit of, man, you're busy. Like you just got to boom, boom, boom. And then you have to hope your body holds out the whole time. So, yeah.
And so out of all those races, Chester, which one's like your favorite? Which one's like you just kind of keep them reserved? You're always going to be at that race. Do you have one of those?
I don't really have one that I've stuck to like that's 100% mon. Let's see. And honestly, this year has been an anomaly. I always did Wascally Rabbit, and that's like for me that was a good like test to see like my fitness wise going into the season. That was always a kickoff.
Yeah.
This year, like I just haven't been able to find a good balance between running and my business life, my personal life. My kids are older now. There's always seems to be activities going on. So
Right.
this year I actually just decided like it's better that I be at home than to go to it. So, but that was always my main like look forward, just meeting up with people from Nova Scotia and just kind of like getting back in the groove kind of deal. That was always my main one. So I like that Looney Loops one as well. That's pretty sweet run. That's 24 hours of silliness and funny stories and stuff like that. So I do, but I'm not even signed up for that one this year. So.
All right. Well, you've got your plate full with some new things this year, and we'll get to those in just a second. But have you ever had any of those "what am I doing here" kind of moments out in the trail? I think everyone has one at some point in time where you're like, "What am I doing out here?" And maybe it's because it's great, or maybe it's because it's awful, or maybe because you're hurt or whatever. But have you ever had one of those moments?
Yeah. I like to think my personal thing throughout life is even at work, when times get tough, that's when I really shine. Like I have that like extra grit. But I did have that moment when I was like not too far into the 100 mile. It was like that self-doubt and that like anxiety of like, man, this is going to be a long run. And am I even ready for this? And am I going to be able to succeed to the end? And, like, it's just that, like, that mental angst in your head just shuffling through as you're going. But I remember distinctly after 50 kilometers calling my wife and just saying, I got this. And I knew it. I was like, for sure, I got this. And then after that, I was dialed in. And I find that like on longer runs, the first 50 are the hardest. Even like if you're going deeper, like that first 50, you kind of get into the groove of like making sure your nutrition's really dialed in, and like I just find personally the first of any runs, like just that mental angst of like, am I gonna be able to do this? It can be overwhelming, but I just put one step in front of the other and you keep going. It's what you got to do. So
yeah, I know exactly how you feel. Like I had one of those moments where you're just like so it was for my first 50, I was like at 27 or 28 kilometers. And I'm just like, man, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And you just start having a few doubts, but then you just hit a certain point and that cloud breaks and you're just like, oh yeah, I've got this. Like, this is going to happen now. Like we're going to make it. And it's a really cool moment, but yeah, I totally understand that. Not at 50 kilometers like you have, but at shorter distances for sure.
And to be honest with you, like I think that it happens to everybody at different, no matter where you are in your running career or running, like I think that people that go and do 5K and that's their big goal for the year and they achieve it, that's just as rewarding as it is for me to go do a longer run. Like these like incremental like mini goals is how you like build towards the big goals in life. So just hitting the smaller like moments in your racing career and enjoying that moment, so that like you're only going to have the time you hit 10K on first time. You're only going to have that once. And then after that, it's like, oh, maybe I can do 12K. You know what I mean? You're only going to have that once. So just cherishing those little moments in your running career, or just maybe it's not a career, you know, like maybe it's just your running passion. Well, you got to embrace all of it. So
yeah, that's really wise. And I do remember, like, Jeff, do you remember that when you just started hitting those milestones? Like I remember hitting 10K and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is the farthest I've ever gone. And then you're like, well, maybe tomorrow I'll go farther.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember like first time I did a half marathon, I was like, wow, like when did I ever think that I was going to run a half marathon, right? And back then I was a little bit faster than I am now. I was younger. So, you know, to think that now we're running, you know, 50K or whatever just seems ridiculous to me when I think back. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my kids about that today, this week, because we, you know, jumped out on a run on Monday and they just got out of bed and ran a 5K, my two eldest. And like a year ago, you know, running 2 kilometers in the morning before they got ready for school was like unheard of, impossible, never going to happen. But, you know, we got up and we ran 5K and it was fine. They did the rest of the day and they were like, wow, like I just ran a random 5K. Like, yeah. So, you know, it's just funny how those little milestones make a huge difference, but it is mind blowing to think back how difficult I thought it was to train for that first fall classic, doing a 10K run. Like, took me all year. I trained from January till October and ran my first 10K. So, yeah.
It's wild. Jeff, was your first half marathon the hypothermic half that we did together?
I don't know which one I did first. It might have been. Yeah, I feel like it was. It was either that one or the Fredericton half in May. But I think it was the hypothermic. I'm not sure.
That was the hardest half marathon. I mean, it was so hilly. Like, it was just brutal. Anyways, that was a tough first test.
Was it super cold too?
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
The day we did it was cold. Yeah. That ominous bus ride out to the end of Redhead Road, and they just dropped you off, and I'm like, what do we do now? Like, what if I don't make it? It must have been my first one, because I remember thinking about that, like, what if I can't do 21 kilometers? I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and the bus just left. Like, it's just gone. Like, what do I do? Yeah. So that must have been the first one. But yeah, that was quite the memory. Yeah, for sure.
It was really clear that we didn't belong there. Like, it was just so clear. Like, everyone was so fit. Everyone was just like doing their, you know, their calisthenics and everything like that. And Jeff and I are just standing there, like, not even really realizing what we needed to do. And it was so cold, Chester, that my shoes, I had like those goo shoes, like they were frozen. Like, I couldn't even chew them. I had to like suck on them to get them warm enough in my mouth to actually chew them. They were that cold. But
I've done some pretty cold runs. Yeah.
Right?
Like, I've done some -30 stuff where you're like, I like plan on having extra jackets, and like just because I'm like, man, if I roll my ankle out there, here I am in like sweaty clothes, -30, no cell phone reception, like so. I've learned over the years just to plan for the worst case, and it kind of gives you confidence too that hey, if something happens, I got my backpack and I got a blanket and I got a fire starter, first aid kit. Like I carry that every time I go down basically any run, just because.
No kidding.
Just because you never know. Like
Yeah.
I was out biking in Fredericton last weekend. No, the weekend before, and it was 7, 8 degrees outside, pouring rain. I got a flat tire, and the guy I was biking with was cold. And because we were so wet and we didn't have any body heat, so whipped out the old emergency blanket and gave it to him. And, you know, if we didn't have it, well, like, where would we have been, right? So.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting because Jeff and I are probably the opposite. We hardly plan for anything, and we always end up needing it. So we should learn something here, Jeff. I'm taking notes.
My wife would tell you the only thing I ever plan for and like wake up, like go to bed or whatever on time, everything is if I'm going for a run, I'm most likely like gone through my whole kit, made sure I had enough food. And I was going to bed on time, waking up on time. Like, that's probably the only thing that I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, I'm doing that kind of deal, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Okay, so something that I assume is taking up a huge amount of your time is this new trail race called the Mastodon Rumbler. So, I mean, tell us where this race idea came from. How is it going? I mean, it's coming up here very soon. How are you feeling about it? And just kind of give us start off by giving us like the genesis of this race. How did it all start?
So like I said, we've been talking between friends about doing a trail race down in White Rocks. It's got a very like unique feel to it down there. There's a lot of like it's an old mining area, and there's natural caves down there, and mine shafts. There's just like the ground has these massive sinkholes all over, and the trails just kind of follow the top of them, and it's just really unique. It's called White Rocks because there's white gypsum on a lot of the trails, and so kind of part of like when I got into trail running, there was a group that would meet every Wednesday night. There'd be bikers and then there'd be trail runners, and they would do a loop together, and I would just follow them, got to know it. And that as the season kind of died down that year, I just decided I was kind of lost back there most of the time, but I wasn't done running, and I don't care if I run at nighttime or how wet it is or cold. So I literally spent the rest of the year getting to know all those trails, connecting them, and then maybe not the next year, but a few years later, I became one of the guys that kind of organized the runs down there. And I would cut from one trail to the other and create these loops and stuff like that. So I got to know the area really well. And while we're out running, it'd be like, man, we got to do a trail race here. We got to do a trail race. So step forward to this year. One of my staff at work, she's one of the main people in charge of fundraising for Playground in Hillsborough. And through work, I've been helping her and, you know, sponsoring and stuff like that. And one day I said, hey, if you want to do a fundraiser, like, I got an idea for you. She's like, what's that? I was like, let's organize a trail race down there. And we'll just put all the proceeds go to the playground, and let's just see if we can raise some money. And so she's like, sure, let's see if we can. So it was still snowy out then, and we weren't quite as busy. So we kind of got the ball rolling that way. And then as soon as like the snow was gone, I was like, okay, we got to get out. I got to get out and kind of figure out what these loops are going to be. And then the naming thing, back in 1936, they found a mastodon fossil in that area. And there's a sign on like the side of it, kind of a creek that says down here, someone found these bones. And so as I was trying to find a name for a race down there, the Mastodon thing came up, and my son's like, "Why don't you call it the Mastodon Rumbler?" And I was like, "Sounds good. Let's just go for it." So that's where the name came from.
Nice.
And then I was just like figuring out what the loops were going to be. I figured a 10K and a 20K this year would be a good starting point. So then I figured out what that would look like. I did a bunch of just runs and figured out, hey, this makes sense or this doesn't. And there's a lot of different trails in that area, and they're intersected with multiple ATV trails or old logging roads. So it's like I wanted to make sure it had a clean flow to it so that people don't get turned around in there. So,
right.
But so what the neat thing is like there's a main place that's going to be like the aid station, the starting point and the finish point. And from that you'll go and do 5K, and I have an aid station set up at a spot there. I'll have it set up anyways. And then you do your last 10, you finish at the aid station, but that's also like where the start for the second loop starts. So then you do another completely different loop, and then land back at the same aid station at the bottom, and then do another completely loop back up to the hill. So there's a little bit of elevation, mostly all single track trails that are pretty well maintained. It was built by the biking community, but the biking community now has moved to being more like, let's do jumps and smoother stuff. So it's not used as much as it used to be, for sure. So
yeah, well, that's really cool. And forgive my ignorance, but this is in the Hillsborough area, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this all. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's in Hillsborough. There's a golf course there, and it's in behind the golf course is where we're going to be starting. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so the proceeds from this will go to help set up a playground in the Hillsborough area.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool cause as well. What's been the hardest thing about getting this organized? Like, it seems like a huge amount of logistics. And so what have you found the hardest about getting it ready?
Logistics.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I don't want it to just be like, I kind of want to, I set the bar hopefully high enough that I want it to be like a good experience along with the run kind of deal. But it seemed to come together pretty quick. Like through work, I talked to some of my acquaintances, or like there's the company that I buy all my nuts and bolts from. I like mentioned it, like, hey, yeah, sure. Threw in a tool. They're like, here, you can give this away or whatever. When I talked to the CCT about, which is the organization that looks after the trails in that area, that maintains them, they're like, yeah, I'll go for it. No problem. Like, just let us know what trails you want cleaned up. Make sure they're clean before the race. I talked to the community of Hillsborough. Yeah, no problem. Use it. So, like, it's always been pretty easy. I talked to Mark McColligan, and he was like, we just kind of discussed, like, hey, what should I be thinking about that I'm not thinking about? I'm not going to be doing any, like, formal chip timing or anything like that, so we'll see how that goes. I think it'll be fine. We'll try it this year. I just didn't want to, like, invest that huge amount of money into that and then not have much to give to the community. So
yeah, that
was kind of like, let's keep the cost down. And then I called a local brewery and just said, hey, I'm doing a trail race. Do you guys want to donate some beers? And they're like, yeah, just send us an email and tell me how much you want and come pick them up the week of. So that's sweet. Nice. Everybody will get one drink at least, maybe a couple, depending on how many people show up. And then I asked another, like, through work, I said, hey, do you guys want to set up a barbecue and do pizzas at the end? And they were like, yeah, just tell me the date. And so it's coming along now. It's just like how it's all going to be put together is where I'm not nervous, but like I'm excited, really, actually, to see how it goes together. So
yeah, that's really cool how the community's coming together to kind of support this. And
I feel like Moncton has had we've had some trail races, but like, well, I see what St. John has. Like, I kind of envy it. Like, you guys have a great community down there. We have a great community too. We just don't have like a Mark McColgan that organizes races, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the other trails in the Moncton area? I'm trying to think because my in-laws are from the Moncton region. I'm just trying to think of where there would be trails out, like in the city itself. Is there some in the city?
Yeah. So there's the Dobson Trail,
Yeah.
which is just in Riverview there, and that you can go. It's usually in and out kind of deal. There's a little bit of loop at the beginning. So the Moncton trail running group, when we get together, we do either that one. There's a one called Halls Creek, which is over by the French University, and it's kind of like a horseshoe in that area. And then there's another one called the Seahorse, which is actually behind Crandall University. That one was developed by dirt bikers, and
Nice.
when you finish your run on Strava, it actually looks like a seahorse. So that's how it got named. So, and those trails are pretty sweet. And then there's one called Humphrey Brook, which is over kind of off Mill Road, and it's a gravel path maintained by the city, but then there's single track that follow it. So those are the main places that Moncton Trail running gets together. And then as you get out of town, like, you can hit up the Dobson at different areas if you wanted to do like shorter runs, and then you can go down to Fundy. It's not that far, but in terms of training, I always found that White Rocks like had the perfect mix of elevation and a little bit more grindy, but I just found it was a great place to not too far from town just to get some good miles in. So.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. And so if people want to register for the Mastodon Rumbler, is it too late to get the registration in?
No. I was actually joking that I might do a late bird special and just see if I could get more people signed up.
Right. So how do we do that? Can you tell us how we can register for people who are those late procrastinators?
It's on Race Roster. If you just type in Mastodon Rumbler, it's there. And then there's Facebook. You can just type it in. So, but awesome. The sign up process is through Race Roster. So
very cool. Very cool. And so just as we kind of finish off,
it's June 21st.
Okay, so coming right up in 2 weeks.
That's under 2 weeks. Yeah.
We were trying to make sure we got it in before, get you on before, so we could promo it and get the word out there.
Yeah.
So if you could compare your experiences to being a trail runner and organizing a trail race, which one's harder?
I feel like I don't have the full answer to that yet because I'm going to see how the event all plays out.
Right.
For me, trail running is like my escape from all of my, day-to-day like obligations in life. Like, and it's just my like way to like reset and just get some good exercise. And I do a lot of my like, planning and also just like cleansing my brain of events and just trying to process stuff when I'm running. So it's completely different because this is more like a task that I've taken on. It doesn't need to be done. I've taken it on. So, but I'm excited. I like the trail running. I like the community, and I just thought, hey, let's try this out. So,
yeah, I really appreciate you doing it too, because it's a big undertaking to do it well, and to be able to expose White Rocks, that area, to a bunch of new people is a real gift. And so thank you for doing that. And hopefully we'll be able to get these kids a playground so they can enjoy some of that stuff in the Hillsborough area. So Chester, thanks so much for taking the time. We can't wait to see you. Hopefully we'll see you at one of the races down here, or maybe we'll come up to you sometime and we'll be able to get some time on the trails together.
Yeah, like for me, I think that like the playground and trail running, like kids need activities. They need to be outside, and they need this, like, you know what I mean? And then we all become big kids that play in the woods later on, right? So it's like the beginning of it, right? So
yeah, it's like the woods are the adults' playground, right? And so it's leveraging one playground to build another. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks so much, Chester. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And again, if I'll just plug it one more time, it's called the Mastodon Rumbler. It's on June 21st. It will start at 9. You can look it up online and look forward to seeing a bunch of people out. So,
All right. Thanks.
okay, thanks a lot.
Jeff, that was a fun conversation. I just love the energy that Chester brings to the conversation, and just
Oh yeah.
just hearing the way he talks about his passion for the trail running community. I think was just really fun to have a chat with him.
Yeah, man. He talks about how early in his trail running or early in his running career he had more energy. But I've seen him at trail runs, and I think can you have more energy than that?
Right?
I don't know what he was like back in the day, but obviously he had lots if that's the case. So good for him. But
Yeah.
accomplished runner for sure.
Yeah. And just again, like one of those really cool people that
Hmm.
are in our own Atlantic Canadian region, and has a lot of amazing stories about trail running, and just is giving back. I mean, and that's just seems to be like one of the core values for the trail running community, is just finding ways to give back. I noticed just even different trail running groups are giving back. The folks at a weekend in Wentworth, had a donation to the food bank for their race that just happened last weekend. St. John Trail Running always does that. All Out does that. Like, just some really cool ways that people give back. And so here's Chester, like literally planning out the course and getting it all prepped and ready to go. And so that's just a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just shows that he cares for his community. Like,
Right.
he's busy enough. He runs his own business. He talks about work. He's a humble guy, so he wouldn't go out and say he has a pretty established business that he runs. So he's busy. He's got 2 or 3 kids. Taking on an extra. Let's build a trail race, and let's make sure we get our community a playground for kids to play in. Like, I mean, he probably has other things he could be doing with his time, but good for him, for doing it, and hopefully it goes really well for him, and hopefully he does it more than 1 year. So.
Yeah. I think so too. And playgrounds aren't cheap. Like, playgrounds are expensive, and
Absolutely.
so it got me thinking though. And I wish I'd asked them this. I didn't want to derail the whole conversation, but I was thinking about playgrounds. And did you have, growing up, like one piece of equipment on the playground that you went to all the time? Like, did you have one that was like your go-to?
Well, I'm trying to think. I don't know that I spent a lot of time on playgrounds as a child, to be honest.
Oh,
But
really?
like, I mean, the monkey bars probably. I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
would be the one. It'd be the one I could think of sitting on top of it. Or
Yeah.
I always ended up the ones like with the like castle. I always ended up on the roof, then getting yelled at to get down or something. Like, it was. I was that kid. I fell off many of them too. My biggest problem is, funny enough, happened more than once. Those fire poles.
Yeah.
I'm one of the reasons they don't exist anymore in
Right.
like the middle of structures, because where I didn't have any sight in one eye, sometimes I'd be walking through the like middle of the structure and I'd just step into the fire hole and down I'd go. Like, God, I wouldn't even see it. Like, it was on my right side. Like, I just step into the hole and I was gone. So, old school play structures and me weren't always good friends. Like, I fell off them a lot and had a few concussions. So, anyway. Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you about this play structure. When I was just kind of like in grade 1, 2, and 3, I went to Vincent Massey Elementary School in St. Andrews, and they had like this log cabin, if you can imagine it, that was probably 30 feet tall. Like, it was the size of like a real kind of cabin, but it was only just like tree trunks that were like made up a frame for it, and there was like maybe a foot gap in between each of the logs that would make it. And so they would just let kids like climb to the top of this cabin that was like 30 feet. Like, you could just fall in between the gaps in those things and like probably break some bones. But it just reminded me of how hardcore playgrounds were when we were kids versus now, right?
Now they're so expensive because they have so many safety features on them.
Right.
That like, they're not even made out of wood anymore. Like, it's all like composite. There's no splinters.
That's right.
There's no anything, right? Like, no, I can't even imagine what it would cost for like Hanwell put up a beautiful by their new community center, the trail where the Hamel Hammering is, but they got a great playground there. It looks like it's all wood, but again, no splinters. Like it's all composite. So I don't know what the bill was for that. I'm sure my property tax went up for it, but whatever,
Right.
my kids use it lots, so that's great. But
Yeah.
I imagine it wasn't cheap for sure. Yeah.
No, and it's like not even real ground anymore. Like it's like it's
right.
like rubber. It's like rubber, like turf kind of stuff now. So
Man,
even if you
kids are
did
soft
fall,
these
it wouldn't
days.
hurt, right?
Kids are soft these days. You can't let them fall on the ground. You gotta put some wood chips and some rubber. But at least we're recycling tires. You know, when you send your tires out to track and Minto, and they cut it all up into little pieces and put it on playgrounds, I guess it's better than burying it. You know?
Oh, I just burned mine, so that I guess.
Yeah, great. Good job, Brandon. Bunch of trail runners, bunch of nature loving Subaru driving trail runners, and you're talking about burning tires.
All right. So if my two pieces of equipment that I would have gone to, I was like you, like the monkey bars. Like as soon as you could get to the top of the monkey bars, like climb on top of them and jump off, that was a huge deal. That was like a coming of age thing. But I want to call it the tilt-a-whirl, but it's not the tilt-a-whirl. It's like that spinny one where you like someone would go around and just like push it.
Yeah.
And eventually you go fast enough that like your legs would like jump, like hang out. You'd be able to just go, right? You'd be going horizontal with the ground. Those were the days. Those were like real playground toys. Like that was awesome. Yeah. So maybe Chester will put one of those in. I think that'd be a great throwback.
I don't think they're allowed anymore.
Oh, well.
They're one of the ones that got canceled, bud.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
There's one at a playground on the north side at Henry Park, and it's like they have these huge chairs that you like can't fall out of. And then like it's so heavy. It takes everything I can to get my kids going at a speed that they're like having fun. And it's so exhausting for me to get that thing moving as fast as it can go. Now, when I do get it going, it's moving pretty good. But it's hard. There's no way a kid could get it going to the point where they could hurt themselves on it. So it's not like the old ones, but that's probably for the best, you know?
Do you think? I don't know. I think anyway, whether you play on the newfangled playgrounds or whether you're used to the old school ones, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us, and everyone keep on chasing the trails.
1, 2,